Kyrie Irving gave one of the best answers I've ever heard in my entire life after interacting with fans for an entire game. Now, not only did Kyrie Irving drop some gems on the court with middle fingers and flying, but this post-game press conference where he explains how I feel should be standard code of conduct at all sporting events in the state of competition. I hate when I hear players. It happened in golf. I think it's happened in basketball when players ask security to get somebody kicked out for something that they said. I fucking hate it, mostly because I enjoy the banter between fans. And if some drunk wants to say something, a professional athlete who might be a natural shit talker should be very much okay to say, hey, what's up? Is that your son? And fucking bury him. Like, I believe that thoroughly. As a shit-talking human, like, I think that is something that should be more accepted. And it's not, I guess, always players are kind of deemed unprofessional and lack of class when somebody is literally 4 feet away from them saying something terrible about them. And then, rather than just breaking their entire face, which you could do as any professional athlete, saying something back or telling them to go fuck themselves, like, I don't know where we went wrong with that. Here's Kyrie's entire answer. I can't wait to hear what's next, though, Shams.
It looked like there were a couple times where you gave the fans the finger. I'm curious, was there anything that you thought crossed the line today, and are you the kind of guy that gets motivated by kind of going back and forth with the fans? Do you kind of use that internally as something to fire you up?
Look, I mean, I'm just where I'm from. You know, I'm used to all these antics and people being close nearby. You know, it's nothing new when I come into this building what it's going to be like, but it's the same energy they have for me, and I'm going to have the same energy for them. And it's not every fan. I don't want to attack every fan, every Boston fan, but
very nice.
You know, when people start yelling pussy and bitch and fuck you and all this stuff, it's but so much you can take as a competitor.
Right.
And, you know, we're the ones expected to be docile and be humble and take a humble approach. Nah, fuck that's the playoffs. This is what it is. You know, I know what to expect in here, and it's the same energy I'm giving back to them. It is what it is. I'm not really focused on it. It's fun. You know what I'm saying? And like again, where I'm from, I've dealt with so much. So coming in here, you relish it as a competitor. And this is, you know, I'm going to keep repeating myself when I say again, but this isn't my first time in TD Garden. So what you guys saw and what you guys think is as entertainment, or the fans think is entertainment, all is fair in competition, you know. So if somebody's going to call me out of my name, I'm going to look at them straight in the eye and see if they really about it. Most of the time they're not.
99% of the time they're not, I'd assume, in sporting events. What's next here? Him swearing at a press conference, in my eyes, awesome. How you doing? Keep it moving. It's 2022. The internet is full of this. And him getting into it publicly at an NBA game, especially the playoffs, Nets, Celtics. What's next for Kyrie, you think, Shams?
All right, so let's look at it like right now. I think, of course, there are consequences. If you flip off the fans, you're going to get fined. There was some language in the post-game presser that we just saw. There was language by the locker room. So the NBA's got to take all that into account, and a fine will likely be coming before Wednesday, their next game. But let's take a bigger picture view on this, right? And obviously there's history with Kyrie Irving in Boston. He left as a free agent. He said he was going to resign, or the plan was for him to resign. He leaves. And last year in his return game, he had a bottle thrown at him, and that fan was later arrested, banned from Celtics games. So there's obviously a very, very tense history between Boston, between that arena and Kyrie Irving. So that is kind of the bigger picture view that we have going into it. And what happened last night, you know, there are consequences. You know, if Kyrie flips off the fans, which is his right, he's allowed to flip off the fans, he's going to get fined for it. But I think, you know, what might have to even be a bigger discussion is like, what is too far, right? What is too far for fans? Can fans just openly say whatever they want? And when they do, like you said, Pat, like players are also in their own right to do whatever they want. The worst case scenario is if Kyrie were to actually get into something physically with that person. And that would be, obviously, you know, that's not a good scenario that we want to see. You know, then we'd have a repeat of, you know, the Mouse at the Palace with your Pacers way back when. So
they're not my team anymore.
I think this is something Kyrie Irving, you know, he's dealt with from stuff that I've been told he's been dealing with, whether it's, you know, these over-the-top heckling fans. There's racial overtones at times, I'm told. Like, there are all these different facets that he's hearing that. It's not just Kyrie, though. Like, this is, you know, LeBron James. We saw a video of him pointing to security and getting a fan in Indiana tossed out.
See, I don't like that.
It's been going on. And I know you don't like that. And, that's one method, right, where you get the security involved. And I'm sure that's something that the NBA would love is you get the security involved, get that person tossed out or whatever. But Kyrie Irving clearly took it into his own hands. And to me, there was no physical altercation. There was nothing that got out of hand. He wasn't even really having banter with the fans back and forth, at least during the game. He was just, you talk anything and he was flipping you off. But overall, I think how much is too much? How much is for a fan to be sitting there and just giving, just normal fan banter versus actually going over the top with possible, like Kyrie said, F you, calling him the B word, the P word, making racial remarks. And obviously Kyrie Irving responded to that.
So whenever you think about, that's what I got a bunch of tweets. Everybody, whenever I said the sports world needs more of this, everybody's like, well, the malice in the palace, the malice in the palace, the malice in the palace, right? This is what the NBA doesn't want. Well, that started right because somebody threw a bottle, if I do recall, just like what happened with Kyrie. And then Stack Jack went in there and said, hey, how you doing? Keep it moving. Don't hurt one of my friends. And it became an absolute nightmare situation for Indiana, by the way, for the Pacers, and for the NBA as a whole. They're still, by the way, the Pacers might still be trying to bounce back from that entire thing all these years later. But whenever the difference, I guess, between the NFL and the NBA is the NBA fans are on top of the court, right? I mean, they are right on top of the court.
I mean, Isaiah Thomas, the former Celtics guard, when he was a member of the Wizards, he went to the crowd and had just a normal, I thought a pretty genuine conversation with the fan. There was a video that came out later. So guys have gone to the crowd. Russell Westbrook a few years ago, he got into it with some fans in Utah where they had a back and forth, and then that fan got banned and Russ got fined. So there have been moments where fans and players get testy that it doesn't rise to the level of that. Kyrie Irving obviously didn't take that approach, right? He went the approach of more, hand gestures. But this is my thing, Pat, as fans, as people watching from home, all we see is the middle finger, right? All we see is him, saying the comment to the fan by the locker room, which, again, we saw what the fan said, but we don't see what leads up to those middle fingers and what has led up over the last 2 years whenever Kyrie goes back to Boston. In his mind is just these over-the-top heckling that, in his mind, is not right for the game, right? And in his mind, if you're adding racial overtones to it, that is also something that he's going to respond like he did last night.
We are Team Kyrie here in Boston, of course.
Of course,
Boston.
No.
So what has to happen here? Adam Silver has to get up in a meeting and go, all right, we got to put a list together of what's okay to say and what's not okay to say for the fans. Asshole? Good.
Yep.
Asshole,
Keep it.
good. Okay. Fuck you?
Can't have it. Sounds like can't have it.
It's iffy.
We'll come back and fuck you,
I'll allow
okay?
What about the B word?
What about
Bitch.
Bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitch is allowed,
Yeah,
okay?
say it on the
Bitch is
radio.
allowed, all right. How about, pussy?
P word? Can't do
don't
it.
think so.
P-word. Okay, so we're banning P-word and fuck you thus far. Put those signs in every arena. Is that how they would have to do it? It would just be like a fan code of conduct? Because I assume that a lot of teams enjoy their atmosphere. Like the Celtics fans being the way they are, like that is a benefit to the entire entertainment of the game, I believe, and also to the Celtics. Is there a way to combat this, you think, without making the places just turn into libraries? Or how do you see this kind of going forward, do you think, Shams?
Yeah, I feel like this is a conversation we have every other year, right? And even, what do? Do you come up with a code of conduct? There is a code of conduct for fans. Some fans, whether you're drunk, whether you're, feeling a certain type of way toward a player, which clearly Boston is toward Kyrie, whether you're just super, agitated, super driven given the moment, which I think both sides. I think it's fair to say Kyrie Irving, we saw the energy that he had yesterday, which obviously fueled his game. That's stuff that we all want to see from
Yes.
these guys.
That's what competition.
We want to see guys be overly emotional and guys in a good way, in a way that kind of lifts the spirits of games. And I'm sure the ratings were over the top yesterday. I'm sure that it'll just continue to drive the conversation for the next few games. So it's good overall for basketball. It's good overall for the sport when guys are overly passionate about the game. But again, what's the line? Like are fans allowed to just go crazy and say F you, you're a B, you're a pussy? Like what is that line that that you can cross if you're a fan. And there is a code of conduct. Some fans just decide not to follow.
But the code of conduct, though, in any true sports atmosphere kind of gets thrown out whenever, things get after it. And Kyrie's booked as a heel in Boston, right? And I mean, just as a wrestling fan, like the entertainment of him jousting verbally with the Celtics fans, and then the way that game ends is like almost even better. Like it was beautiful. I thought it was great for the NBA.
That was one of the best games I think I've seen all year. But yeah, I mean that finish was crazy for Jason Tatum to make that layup at the buzzer. It looked like Boston was going to win. Kyrie Irving makes that 3-pointer to put him up, I believe, 114 to 111 with 40-some seconds left. And like that was the ultimate FU moment, right? If you're Kyrie Irving, you go back to the city. They're talking all this to you, and you're giving the middle finger to people, and you win. Like that would have been the ultimate ending. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win. And that was the game for them to go steal, and they weren't able to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think over the next 2 days, what's going to happen is Adam Silver is going to have to find Kyrie Irving. But I think from Kyrie's standpoint, in his mind, there should be a bigger conversation. Like it shouldn't just end with him getting fined. Again, that's his consequence. You can't go out there and flip off the fans and not have consequence. But the other side is how much is too much.
Well, I mean, Kyrie, big conversation guy. Honestly, big conversation guy. I love just the fact that Kyrie is always Kyrie. Yeah. And in that post-game presser, he could have handled that in a lot of different ways. He could have apologized. He could have been aggressive in it. Instead, he was just matter of fact. Like, yeah, that's just kind of how it is, man. See you later. By the way, I haven't eaten or drink anything all day today. I had no water during that whole game. So everybody can kind of eat shit. I've become a big fan of just him being his own human. And I've always loved that.